Hi everybody. So welcome to my next video. I'm just going to give you a quick look through my work traveler's notebook, which is, as you can see, it's not actually a traveler's notebook. It's my own version, a Fauxdori, a fabric one, which I sewed a few weeks ago. I wanted to make one that I could fit 4 notebooks in, each on an individual string. It's all made from cotton, but it is slightly reinforced with stiffener. With the flap over fastening. And that flap's a bit annoying actually, so I don't know whether I'd do that one again, but I've got 3 business card slots there. Yeah, I'm just going to pull out all these pieces of scrap paper, with notes and ideas on, and I'll go into that in a lot more detail later on, like what they are and why and what I do with them. Yeah, so I tend to just shove things in the front there. That's the clear folder from Traveller's Notebook. I carry with me this Copic Chow samples, like all the ones that I own with their names, because if I'm in the shop and I'm like, oh, I like that colour, I got to check I don't already own it before I buy it. So the first notebook is a Camino notebook, which I did do a video on, which is sort of general notes. This is the back of the zipper folder. I'm just sort of going through and taking things that I need. Yeah. So this second book is sewing notes, all completely practical sewing notes in there, ideas for cover designs, and because I've made Hobonichi covers and sold them as well, sort of as a trial run. And then this third notebook is the newest one, which is another Camino, and it is supposed to be for YouTube notes, ideas, thoughts, things like that. Yeah, I don't know if it needs its own notebook. I'm not sure yet, but I wanted to use it because it's such a nice one. And then this last one is my schedule, which is the one I use the most. And the rest of this video is going to be me going into detail of how I sort of do that. There's a big pocket at the back there. I just popped that on just because I could. So yeah, as I say, the rest of this video now, so be warned, is very sort of planner heavy. It's all actually me planning my schedule for the next month. And it's not necessarily the most efficient way of doing things, but it's sort of the only way I can manage at the moment to deal with all the ideas that I have, all the things I need to do, and do it the way that my brain allows, if you understand. So this is me looking at June, and I'm taking off all of the little tasks that I didn't manage to get done in June. Putting them on the desk, ready to sort. So all of the ones that are actually on the days, those were things that I did. I use washi tape. They are actually post-it notes, but I use washi tape to stick them on because I tend to move them around and take them on and off more often. And the washi tape does hold up to that. So I'm just sort of reticking a few boxes of things I got done. And that last week of June was sort of, business planning, product, thinking about things, having ideas. To be honest, that last 4 days, I tried to switch off from work, but then I ended up having tons of ideas. And all of those ideas, as you can see, ended up on lots of scrap pieces of paper on the left. Everywhere. When I was in the car, I have a notebook in the car, I have a notebook in the kitchen, by the bed, because I feel overwhelmed with all the ideas of things I could do. Or why don't I try this? Why don't I do that? Yeah, so they all end up on scrap paper to be sorted at a later date. I'm just blocking out these days here because they were days I couldn't work. My son was poorly, and one of them is a bank holiday. Looking forward now to August, we're actually going away. So my Etsy shops will close and then reopen in September. And I'm thinking about doing Inktober this year. So please encourage me, because I really want to get back to doing more drawing, focusing more on drawing than sewing, because I do love sewing and I love making things for stationery, like covers and things like that. But I feel like the thing I really need to be doing for my future, for my career, is focusing on the illustration. So yeah, Inktober hopefully will help me do that. So what you're seeing me doing here is my very crazy, perhaps, analog method of trying to sort out all of those ideas. I'm cutting them all up onto individual pieces of paper, strips, so that I can sort through them for things that I don't need to do, things that are a good idea, things that are a priority, and I can physically move them around on the table into groups of, what I need to do and when and things like that. Oh, sorry, it's my phone going off. So yeah, if anybody has any sympathy with me, please please do comment below, because I really struggle. I have ideas, and I want to do them all, and I'm like, I have to write them down, otherwise I'll forget them, and then I end up with pages and pages of ideas, and I don't know which one to do. I don't know what's the best idea, like what should I start with, and it's just overwhelming. It really is exhausting. You can see on my July, I've actually covered up the top section with paper. It was things like Instagram counts and business balances, and whilst they're probably quite important to kind of track, I didn't want to be looking at them every day, so I covered them up and so that completely blocked them out of my vision. So they're there if I need to look at them, but they're not distracting me. Because as you can see, my brain is already so full of other things. I don't need any more distraction, basically. This is me being really brave and tearing up an idea, tearing up a job that I really, I'd love to do all of these things, but I have to learn to funnel down and filter out, things that were just sort of wasting my time in a way. Because I want to do all the things and I can't. I'm really hoping that this time next year I'll look back at this video and think, oh, I'm so glad I don't do that anymore. I'm so glad I'm very focused and clear about what I'm doing, and wouldn't that be wonderful? So this is me sorting through the ideas, sorting out which ones to get rid of, putting them into sort of piles of themes. A lot of these ideas were sort of generally applying to my life, like things kind of long-term plans. What am I really going to do? So they all go in one pile to be sort of dealt with at a later time. And then other ones are just things I need to research on the internet, or a certain item that I want to try making to possibly sell on Etsy, things like that. But what I'm deciding at this point is that although I did, color coordinate, I did, choose blue for one thing and pink for another. This month I'm just going to stick to one color. So I'm just going to do green tasks for July. So then, all one color on one page might be less sort of overwhelming visually. So I sit down and I transfer all of the little jobs and tasks that I have onto green. And I won't show you all of that, obviously, because that would be a bit boring. So we'll fast forward in a minute. So yeah, here we are. They're all on green now. And that, is not as pretty, but to me that feels a bit sort of calmer. Does anybody else do this? Write your ideas of things you need to do on little pieces of paper and then move them around in your schedule. I don't really like doing the whole writing them in an erasable pen and then erasing them, and I don't know why. For some reason, the physical pieces of paper the physical idea. It feels more it makes more sense to me somehow. I don't know why. But then guess what happens? I have a little planner panic, and I grab my Jib and Techo magazine from the shelf, and I'm looking at it and thinking, maybe this will solve all my problems. Because, that's what happens, isn't it? You think, well, if I had more space, if I had a weekly vertical, maybe I could organise my ideas a lot better. And I have actually ordered one, and I've started sort of playing around with it, which I'll show you in another video. But yeah, I thought I left that clip in because I just thought it was so hilarious, like how you're in the middle of planning and then you think, a new planner will solve my issues. And it never does it? Let's be honest. So I continue with my monthly insert. So they all get stuck down on the day that I expect or I hope to be able to complete them. So doing it like this, I can kind of see generally which days are going to be busier and not busier, and I can sort of logically group things together. Like 1 week I might dedicate to one particular project. If I have something I know is going to be a very busy week, I'll put less things down. And as you can tell, because they're on washi tape, I can easily move them around if they're not really working for me. Or they'll get joined by 4,000 new ideas, which is probably more likely. So down they all go. So apologies if this video is a little bit boring, but I'm just hoping somebody can relate, really. I mean, I filmed it and I just thought, this is insane. This is just showing the insanity that goes on in my head when I'm planning, that I don't know what I'm doing and I'm sort of winging it, trying desperately to feel organized, trying desperately to kind of get things done. You can see me graying out some dates there, because my husband is coming over to visit. He lives in Mexico, works in Mexico, so we don't see each other very often. So I expect to get less done on those days. So I will be sticking less things down, or at least less time-intensive tasks down for those days. We still have to work, both of us, but obviously it's going to have to be much more flexible as we go and do family things as well. Now, that little bunch there on the left, those are sort of big thoughts, big ideas. What am I going to do, career-wise for the next 6 months? Where should my focus be? Which sort of require more space. So I simply write on a large post-it, planning what am I going to do for the next 6 months. And those will all be dealt with then. It's me thinking, when am I going to do it? Too many ideas. I think I need a life coach. And these ones here, these are all sort of YouTube ideas, YouTube notes, which at some point I'm just going to kind of transfer into that YouTube notebook I have. So that gets they get attached to my YouTube notebook for a later time. But all of these, they were bothering me, just a bunch of little scraps. They were sort of, I don't know, I felt like having them all bunched up made them feel sort of like they hadn't been dealt with at all. So I actually end up getting my general notebook and sticking them down. I feel almost like if I have time to come to those ideas, I can now, and I can, do something with them. But if I don't, I've sort of done it already. Does that make sense? Like somehow just writing them down, sticking them in there, I feel like I've dealt with them in a way, and they're there if I need to come back to them. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope it was interesting, if not entertaining, at how ridiculous I am. But if anybody else has any ideas or suggestions, or just struggles the same with too many ideas and not really knowing where to focus, as a self-employed person, please let me know in the comments. I'd really love to hear from you. So I hope this was interesting. I wouldn't say it was helpful, but I hope it was interesting to sort of see inside my hectic planning mind. And I hope to see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.